For as long as I can remember, I have always been obsessed with food. The first meal I ever cooked was a frozen salmon Florentine filet from Trader Joe's with a side of mashed potatoes so lumpy you might have thought that I folded raw ones throughout it. Throughout my childhood, I picked up and put down various hobbies, each one unable to hold my attention with the same level of intensity that cooking did. I would sit on the couch for hours watching chefs like Michael Chiarello and Emeril Lagasse and Ina Garten move throughout their TV kitchens with a rhythmic purpose that felt so second nature to them. Like throughout their lives, their hands had only spent minutes away from the handle of a knife. When my parents would finally decide that I had stared at a screen enough for a day, they would unplug the tiny white box of a TV that sat in our living room and hide it away in the back of their closet. I would pretend not to know where they hid it, only to dig it back out once they stepped out for a few moments so I could catch the end of the Top Chef episode I had been watching. A few years later, when it came time to request a bar mitzvah present, I only had one thing in mind: my very own knife set. Now, some parents might have been apprehensive to buy their 13-year-old a set of razor-sharp professional knives, but not my parents. Either because they wanted to nourish my one and only passion, or because they were hoping it would make the food that I made them a little more edible. But either way, on the day of my bar mitzvah, I was confused and a little bit disappointed when my father presented me with a giant metal briefcase. Once we undid the factory set combination at the top of the case, I was elated to see my own smile mirrored back at me, bouncing off the blades of my very own set of chef's knives. Now, my love for food has only wavered once in my life. It was a normal night in 5th grade. My family was sitting around the dinner table eating Boca burgers and frozen French fries when my mom asked for my and my brother's hands. We gave them to her and held hers tighter and tighter as she explained to us that she had been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. In all honesty, my mom wasn't the healthiest of people. She had struggled with fibromyalgia since she was in her late 30s and would sometimes walk with a cane to help support her. She had me later in life against her doctor's wishes and would sometimes call me her miracle baby, as she was told time and time again she wouldn't survive another pregnancy after my brother. What she lacked in physical health, she more than made up for in charm. Originally from Virginia, my mom was an eccentric, artistic, downright force of a woman. Her colorful fashion and lively demeanor drew eyes to her in every room she went into. People would flock to her with a magnetism that can only be described as kind of scary. It seemed like everywhere we went, my mom knew somebody, and that somebody loved her, whether she loved them or not. It was this same magnetism that came into play when my mom started her chemotherapy. As her treatment began to ramp up, a group of my mom's friends, other moms from the middle school who I'll now be referring to as Margaret's Angels, came up with a plan. A couple times a week, a different family from the community would drop off a hot and ready meal for us, completely absolving my parents of their dinner duties for the night so that they could focus on my mom's healing. Now, the range of meals was wide, both in cuisine and quality. Sometimes we'd be treated to a juicy roast chicken with vibrant fresh vegetables and chewy chocolate chip cookies for dessert. Other times, we would all leave the dinner table with a different conclusion as to what it was that we had just eaten. But if I'm being completely honest, 70% of the time, we got lasagna. Tray after tray of gooey, sauce-laden lasagna. Now, before my mom's cancer, I had no problem with lasagna. In fact, I even liked lasagna. I particularly loved the crunchy bits of pasta that stick out of the bottom of the pan and get all nice and caramelized under the broiler. But over time, as my mom's treatment progressed, those tiny bits of pasta began to taste less like a smoky treat and more like chewing on a hospital gown. As my mom's cancer progressed, so did my hatred for lasagna. I mean, I can only imagine how the angels must have felt when I would answer the doorbell, look at the tray of lasagna in their hands, and roll my eyes in disgust. I mean, if anything, I should have been grateful for all of the love and the support that these families in our community were showing us, but I couldn't be. Over time, all of the pain I felt, all of the confusion and grief and anger at the disease that was eating away at my mother from the inside out, the vicious, seemingly unstoppable force that was desperate to rip her from my life and never give her back. I channeled it into the lasagnas. To this day, I still can't eat lasagna. I mean, I can barely stomach this stuff. But looking back, Margaret's Angels dinner drop-off service did so much more good for my love of food than bad. As family after family visited our house, I learned so much more about the intrinsic connection between food and community. With each plate of food, I learned which families only shopped at Whole Foods and which ones valued healthy options. I learned which ones didn't care what we ate, just as long as we were happy. I learned about different cuisines and different cooking styles, but most importantly, I learned how food can hold meaning. Food can hold anger. It can hold grief. It can represent a desire to live a healthier lifestyle. It can represent a place you miss or a place you don't. It can be so filled with love that it could be downright unbearable to eat, but you'd still clean your whole plate. It can create a relationship, one that says, I see you, one that says, I've got you, one that can't be summarized into words, but can be summarized into some flour, some eggs, some sugar, some butter, and some chocolate chips for good measure. It's this idea of cooking food with meaning that helped me realize that I needed to become a chef. Whenever I cook, I feel my mom with me. Now, I wish it was as sweet as it sounded, but in all honesty, it's complicated. While yes, I feel her warmth around me and I see her slightly crooked smile as I bite into a ripe peach, I also understand how her pain inadvertently fueled my passion. Her battle with cancer helped me realize what I love so much about food, but it also took her from me. So it's complicated. It's confusing. It's layered. Kind of like a lasagna. Thank you.